This is Inside the Locker Room, where football isn't just a game, it's a war zone. Every take, unfiltered. Every prediction, ruthless. From Sunday battles to primetime legends. We break down the matchups, the mind games, and the moments that define champions. Fantasy, film, trash talk, all inside the locker room. So if you came for smoke, you're in the fire now.
What is up inside the locker room? We are back with another episode, and we've had a crazy week in the world of sports. But kicking this off, Micah Parsons requested a trade last week from the Dallas Cowboys. You know, we saw it a lot in talks that, contract negotiations weren't getting anywhere. And I think he finally had, his last final straw with it. But Adam, Benji, what's y'all's opinion on, Micah wanting out of Dallas? And do you really believe that's true? Because we do see this happen all the time. We saw it with Myles Garrett. We've seen it happen where players say they want out and they end up getting a lucrative contract a few weeks later. So I just want to know y'all's opinion on it.
How do you want to go ahead?
First? Yeah, I'll go first. I've been hearing some talk about the Seahawks. Definitely gets you excited at night. It would be a juicy landing spot. I'd love it as a Seahawks fan. I've heard that he's even been following certain Seahawks players on social media. So, some people are just kind of following that path down a certain rabbit hole. I don't think necessarily that that's what's going to happen. I think he's probably going to end up staying as a Cowboy. All the reports, according to what Jerry Jones and other Cowboys front office people are saying, is they're not interested in trading him. They're not going to trade him. So good chance he ends up staying there. One other interesting thing is Aaron Donald came out and said, he's probably joking, but he came out and teased that he would unretire if Micah Parsons went to the Rams. Can you Jared Verse, Aaron Donald, and Micah Parsons on one line would be absolutely disgusting. And they have other nice pieces as well. Byron Young, I think, is another one. So yeah, but based off all reports, he'll stay as a Cowboy. What are your thoughts on that, Ben?
Yeah, we keep mentioning, the possibility of Micah staying as a Cowboy, and we did have Jerry Jones come out and say as well, hey, Cowboys fans shouldn't lose any sleep over this, but, pretty alarming considering the posts on X or Twitter or whatever the people call it nowadays from Micah Parsons. But, you mentioned the Seahawks destination, possibly that'd be a huge addition to that Seahawks D-line. But you even see some other teams involved as well, potentially like the Las Vegas Raiders, even the New York Jets coming up in discussion. But for me, if Micah Parsons was to get traded, it would pretty much just come down to the best offer that the Cowboys would get. And in my opinion, the best offer that a team would be able to give would be the Seahawks, considering their draft capital for the years to come. And we know that a player like Micah Parsons, if they do end up trading him, is going to command a lot of, assets and ability to trade for that player. So we'll see how this unfolds. But, maybe Jerry did say also that he, offered him a contract already, and it was a lot more than what people had thought. But we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, here's my 2 cents on it. Communication is key. If you really read the reports, it's been saying the communication was off, and now the Cowboys aren't trying to budge. But I'm going to say this, Micah Parsons still has 1 year left on his contract, so he still technically is owned by the Dallas Cowboys. And every game he sits out, he'll get fined, and he'll just lose more and more money. So I really don't think that's going to happen if it comes to it, Also, I really do think that if the Cowboys are not going to get rid of Micah Parsons as much as he wants to hold out, because they still can place a franchise tag on him and still give him a new contract for next year. As much as you don't want that to happen, I feel like that's something that Stephen Jones and Jerry would do. We saw it with DeMarcus Lawrence. We saw it with Dak, but they eventually got their big contracts. Jerry did come out and he said, hey, we're giving these players big contracts and they're being out these long periods of games. We saw it with Dak. We saw it with Trayvon Diggs. So I kind of understood where he was coming from, but just the way he approached it and the way he came off about it was just wrong, in my opinion. But jumping over to training camp, Adam, it's been a lot brewing in Seahawks training camp. I've seen a lot of Jalen Milroe clips. But, anything that just stood out to y'all. And then, Benji, you can go next talking about the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, quite a bit actually. So first of all, Torrey Horton Jr., who was drafted in the 5th round, looks like he could possibly be the steal of the draft. Definitely showing out in Seahawks training camp. Little tidbit. Tariq Woolen was asked about him, and he was basically said, "I played him in college football 25, so I knew the guy was going to be pretty good, but just seeing him do that like right in front of me on an actual football field, definitely was an eye opener for Tariq Woolen." And yeah, he's even been earning nicknames like Jerry Rice Jr. at Seahawks training camp. So high praise. But he's looking like a very dynamic player and probably someone that should have been drafted before round 5. Other reports, this was about a week ago now, but Kenny McIntosh tore his ACL. So good thing the Seahawks took Damian Martinez in round 7 because it looks like he's going to be the guy for the RB3 role after Kenneth Walker Jr. and Zach Charbonnet now. And then Tariq Woolen was tested for the first time at Seahawks training camp. They threw to him 3 times the other day. All 3 fell incomplete. Nick Amanwari, Seahawks drafted him in 2nd round. Should have probably been a 1st round. Definitely a 1st round talent in my opinion. He's shined all over the football field. He's looked great in the nickel role. They've been using him close to the line of scrimmage, and he can still guard deep as well. As I mentioned before, did not give up a touchdown in coverage in college last year. Then Sam Darnold, despite what people think, has looked the part of QB1 so far in training camp. It's early, it's just training camp, but nice tight spiral. All his passes look good. He's been forming a nice connection with JSN and with newcomer Cooper Kupp, returning home to Seattle. And then Elijah Arroyo has also been forming a nice chemistry with him. After the release of Noah Fant, it's going to be Elijah Arroyo or AJ Barner. One of them is going to win the tight end 1 role. But at the same time, about 67% of the time in Clint Kubiak offenses, who's the new offensive coordinator, usually there's 2 tight ends on the field. So we're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets, a lot of running the football. So expect to see a lot of those guys. And then last but not least, Tyrese Knight has been sitting out the last couple practices. He's expected to be a starter at linebacker next to Ernest Jones. So probably nothing to worry about right now. But the severity hasn't been reported of it so far. Thoughts on Jets training camp?
Yeah, so while I haven't been in there in person lately, just because of the scheduling and the tickets that I had, seems as of late, talk is around town that Justin Fields is going through some sort of trials and tribulations through camp. But it's important to remember, like I keep telling these New York Jets fans, is it's a whole new scheme, a whole new, front office. Even everybody's new at a lot of their positions, so it's just going to take more than the month that we have left until preseason to figure all these things out. And thank the Lord that we do have the off season. But as far as Jets camp as of recent, we had a lot of former Jets alumni also visiting camp, reconnecting with head coach Aaron Glenn, and many others. So that was pretty cool to see. I definitely see Aaron Glenn trying to build a culture around this new New York Jets team. And as far as what to expect, coming now, I've been talking all off season about our running backs, Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, and we even have Isaiah Davis in there in the mix. So to me, it's pretty clear that the run on this offense is going to be obviously the bread and butter. But we just hope to see Justin Fields continue to progress and learn this new offense under offensive coordinator Tanner Armstead.
And I like that y'all mentioned that it's just training camp, because I have seen a lot of ups and downs from a lot of players. I've seen reports about Caleb Williams not looking the best, but come regular season, I think that he'll be fine. Training camp, you knock the dust off, you get the bolts tightened back up, you get back in the groove of things. Players, although they did have OTAs and mini camps, you got to remember, players in the offseason were out for 2-3 months. And if they were working out, if they were staying consistent or not, it tells when they, get back on the field. But even then, you still got to get back in the groove of things. So that's what I like about training camp. But the preseason is right around the corner, so we can finally see, some names, some lower name players get to make their shine, and some of the starters that we watched last year kind of get to play their little first quarter and like just go out and go do a couple reps. But I mean, for the Cowboys, basically the talk has been George Pickens, and they've said that, like I said last week, he has stood out from training camp, and I call this the 1A 1B with him and CD. I really got really good confidence that George Pickens and the Dak chemistry will be there, just like how Dak had good chemistry with Amari Cooper. Another name to look out for the Cowboys is Jadon Blue. Like I said before,
Definitely.
people were calling him lazy and everything, but hey, on the field, his athleticism shows. He's quick out the backfield. He can really go in the slot receiver if you need him to, because he's quick. He can catch out the backfield. Um, he may not be like the best blocker, but we have other running backs for that. We got Phil Maffa, another name that I want y'all to keep out for, out of Clemson, a bruiser type running back. I think that the Cowboys have a lot of like hidden gems. The one receiver out of Oregon that was undrafted, Holden. I can't remember his first name, but he is another one. He was undrafted, and he's looking like a real threat to make the 53 man. But jumping into the preseason, are there any games this week that are y'all looking to? I know for me, we got the report that Shador was going to be starting since Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett were hurt, and it was kind of a bummer to me to see that he was QB4 on the training camp and on the depth chart after training camp. I mean, because in my opinion, I thought he performed, if not the best, second best. But I guess the Browns front office saw something different. But hey, he gets to start on Thursday, I believe. Is it Thursday that they play?
I believe it's
I think
Friday against the
Friday?
Panthers.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's Friday. I think
Yeah,
it's
but
Friday.
whenever
Yeah.
he starts, I think he really gets a chance to prove, like, hey, this is why y'all drafted me. And I already don't understand the Browns quarterback situation room. It's kind of just a mess, in my opinion. Like, they didn't have a clear plan on what to do. But Benji, Adam, just y'all's take.
Yeah, I guess I'll start off by saying really quickly that while training camp is not like a clear cut, bona fide, this guy's gonna be a stud, this guy's gonna be a star. It kind of translates into preseason as well, because not only, preseason, it's a team against another team finally. Some of these players they mentioned, it's like the defense isn't really doing as much even in preseason. So but still exciting, like you said, to see players still give their shot to prove themselves on why they belong. And I believe that Shador will have the opportunity to do that Friday, and thankfully so. But yeah, you mentioned the kind of confusedness of the Browns quarterback room. They just signed journeyman Tyler Huntley. And while I do like his mobile ability and the stuff we've seen from him in the past, even from the Baltimore Ravens, so it does kind of just make you scratch your head on a fifth QB. Deshaun Watson's on the IR reserve, but I mean, how many arms do you really need for a preseason game? So yeah, Adam, any thoughts about just preseason in general and what's about to unfold these next coming weeks?
Yeah, I'll start with. I mean, first with Tyler Huntley, I think that's just like an emergency, just in case type of scenario. He'll probably end up getting cut by the time the season starts. Basically, you have Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett both dealing with nagging hamstring injuries, from what I've heard. So you just never know with the hamstring. So I think that's
Yeah.
the only reason Snoop Huntley was signed. So
And even Shador
wouldn't make.
had shoulder soreness as well and
Yep.
was
No.
out.
Exactly. Yeah, and so they've all been banged up. So I mean, what I'm getting out of this Shedeur starting preseason game one is he's going to get a ton of time to play. If he does showcase it, that's going to be the absolute best scenario for him. Then he should start getting more reps in practice and moving up the depth chart. But Joe Flacco, the fact that he's just expected to sit the game, so I think Joe Flacco is clearly leading, as he has been, and based off reports continues to be that way. So yeah, I've heard Shedeur is clearly fourth, but a big showing because of these injuries. He had the shoulder injury, like you said, but clearly he's the healthiest of the three, not including Joe Flacco, of course. So I mean, if he can show out, that's going to be a huge step forward for him. And then I'm excited to see the Seahawks playing Las Vegas Raiders. I believe it's in Seattle, so it's going to be the coming home for Pete Carroll. So expect a ton of cheers for Pete Carroll and Mike McDonald even even touched on it too when he was asked a question about it, and was like, "Yeah, I expect they deserve all the cheers for both him and Geno Smith, but then we need to lock in, and then we need to play the football game." So I love to hear that from our football coach. So yeah, really excited to see that first Seahawks preseason game versus the Raiders. So it's going to be a lot of old faces, and not even that old of faces, but faces in new places, basically.
And I mean, I am glad that football is back. You know, college football is finally
Facts.
around the corner. NFL is around the corner. So we are treated good for the next, well, I don't know how many months, but until February.
Mm-hmm.
But I know Michael isn't here today to talk about the Saints and Spencer Rattler, but Spencer Rattler is currently leading the QB room for the Saints. And, you know, Kellen Moore really recently just came out and spoke about the Saints QB room. And yes, the QB room does raise a lot of questions. You know, everybody, including myself, I know on draft night, we were all surprised when they took Tyler Show over Shador. But even then, you know, reports have said like, hey, it doesn't look the best. But, you know, you always got to give some grace in these younger players. I think Spencer Rattler has what it takes, just with the right weapons around him and a good O line. You know, last year when he played, he didn't really have the best weapons because everybody was hurt,
He
and
had no one.
so that really did like contribute to like why people didn't really see progress in Spencer Rattler. But if you watched him in college, you would know that he's a really good player. And I just believe if everybody can stay healthy and the Saints can get the line healthy, he is poised for success. I'm not saying hey he's gonna be the best quarterback in the division, but I think he can be a decent starter for the Saints. I would like to see Tyler Show get some reps too in the preseason. It's an interesting QB race because you never want to see a second round pick really not get their time to shine. But it's just an interesting case here when you got two young quarterbacks battling for that starting position. It isn't like you got a 30-year-old vet and a young rookie sitting behind you. No, these are like a 2 or 3 gap in draft years. So, but Adam, I know that you were talking about Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, I mean, from all the reports I've been reading, Spencer Rattler is clearly ahead. He's just looked a little bit sharper. I mean, he does have the 1 year under his belt, and I would just take the 0-6 record and just throw it out the window, forget about it. Like you said, Deuce, they didn't have anyone. Like at that point, Chris Olave was dealing with concussion. Rashid Shaheed was out from a ACL tear that happened like week 3 or 4, so he was missing his top two weapons. He basically had Jawan Johnson, some guys that you probably never heard of, like Bub Means, and like honestly, I can't even remember most of their depth chart after that last year. There was not much to work with. He had injured offensive linemen as well. So honestly, it's a fun one to watch because you only have a second-year player and you have the rookie. So it's actually like a true QB battle. I think whoever's the best, they'll just put out there week one. And if it is Spencer Rattler, which I hope it is, because I think he deserves his shot, then he'll probably have a short leash. Say he goes 1-3 through the first 4 games, which with the current roster and schedule, there's a high chance something like that happens. Then I think we're going to see Tyler Shuck with a few more reps under his belt, and then maybe we can see what he could do by maybe like week 5, basically. But thoughts on that, Ben?
Yeah, you guys hit the nail on the head already. I feel like, I mean, we have Rattler here in his second year, like we've said before, hasn't really had much to work with last year. So it's like, not that he's more of a veteran than these other guys in the quarterback room, but he's the one who's gone through his rookie season already. So we've seen what we've saw, I guess, from Tyler Show in training camp so far. And while it's not looked the very best, we're just gonna have to see once it comes to regular season again. That is very, I guess, kind of intriguing about the Saints quarterback room, that it's actually like a true quarterback position. Any one of these guys can pretty much get not thrown on the field, but have reps with the starters or in game. So pulling for Rattler, but we'll see how these other draft picks go. And then if it doesn't work out for the New Orleans Saints this year, they have the draft to look forward to next year with an abundance of prospects for the quarterback position. But another quarterback situation I kind of find interesting is the Indianapolis Colts situation. They're currently having a battle between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. And while I hope Anthony Richardson, pulls this out and, gets that starting job, it's definitely going to be interesting to see after last season, the way he kind of ended the season. We all remember the game where he, kind of subbed himself out basically at the quarterback position in the middle of a drive. And that honestly was kind of a crazy sight to see as an athlete, as in just, uh, you're supposed to be the leader of your team during that moment. And I'm sure he's come out and said and apologized of all that. But now it's really, his job's on the line here with Daniel Jones coming in, per other people. But we'll see what Daniel Jones, I guess, brings to the table in Indy. But what do you guys think about the Colts quarterback situation right now and how that's brewing?
I mean, I've never really been a fan of Daniel Jones just because he was a Giants quarterback for the longest. But what I will say is that first year under Brian Daboll, he had a pretty good year, and you always hope for the best with these players that they can get back to form.
Hmm.
But I've always been a big Anthony Richardson believer. A lot of people say he was just drafted purely because of that athleticism. But I still think that, even that, just because that may have been like the leading cause for that, he was still a pretty good quarterback at Florida. He was already projected a first round pick. They just didn't expect him to go that high in the draft. So
Yeah, he was a very raw
yeah,
prospect.
so I kind of think that's where people like, since he was drafted so early, their expectations are that high. But it's a bummer because, he's not living up to it. But I think he is still a very good quarterback. He's dealt with injuries all his career, and I think that has
Hmm.
really set him back. But if he can just stay healthy and he can just do well on the field, like with not throwing interceptions and stuff, I think he's poised for success. They just got Tyler Warren out of the draft, a pick that I really like, and for a longest I had Tyler Warren marked going to the Colts. So this is like a weapon that he needs. It's very rare that we get like these top tight ends in the first round with these like Gronk and all this stuff. We saw it last year with Brock Bowers. This year we can see with Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren. So I think Anthony Richardson, if he can perform well and he can get that starting job, he has Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. He has Tyler Warren, he has Michael Pittman, and if I'm forgetting other receivers, I'm
Josh
sorry.
Downs.
Yeah, Josh Downs. He has the weapons around him. It's just, in my opinion, for Anthony Richardson, once he wins if he wins his QB battle, it's staying healthy and performing well and building that chemistry with with your receivers and your running backs.
Yeah, and I didn't really mean to, bring up that whole situation from last year with Anthony Richardson, but that's exactly why we're in this predicament right now. I feel like we've been saying, he just has to stay healthy and, be a leader of that team for Indy much more. But with the pieces that we've mentioned already that the Colts have acquired this offseason, I think the Colts have had a pretty good offseason. We'll see how much different it is next season for them in that offense.
No, I mean, I'm glad that you mentioned the health because I mean, it hasn't just been like his inaccuracy and his lack of play throughout like high school and college. It has been him literally staying healthy too. Because I mean, his best element is his running element, and if he can't stay healthy, and if he's taking too many big hits, like another really important element is learning how to slide, learning how to avoid those big hits. Which all like Kyler Murray's not a big dude, but he's very good at using his speed to elude those. He'll take a smaller hit instead of a big hit. He'll get out of bounds sometimes and get a 7-yard gain instead of an 8-yard gain. I mean, it's different if it's like 3rd and 10, you're going for it. Of course, he's going to go for it. But um, I want to start by saying thank you to Anthony Richardson because I don't think a prospect like Jalen Milroe would have gone in the 3rd round if not for seeing Anthony Richardson taken so early. I think Jalen Milroe would have been like a back or 1st round lock. So I think now people are afraid of just like a 4.37 guy that doesn't have really polished passing. But just like to compare them, it still surprises me because Milroe does have a pretty polished deep ball. He's already showed in practice that he's actually doing really well in the intermediate and short game. So it's really surprising that he fell so far because Anthony Richardson, like the man has just honestly only like I think he started like less than 10 games in like high school and college. Like it's some astronomically low number, like 10 to 15 games.
Mhm.
I mean, talking about Daniel Jones really quick, I'll just say we've seen what Daniel Jones is, and we've seen that he's not a franchise quarterback. Maybe he can be the journeyman guy to win them like 2, 3 more games if Richardson isn't ready. But like you guys said, I'm cheering for Anthony Richardson, and I think he still has the talent. I mean, he definitely has the prototypical tools. And just one more name to drop is Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen really didn't get it going until year 3, and Anthony Richardson is entering year 3. He also worked out with Josh Allen, and I'm assuming learned quite a few tools from Josh Allen in the offseason. So it's a make or break year for Anthony Richardson for sure, but he's still got plenty of time. Like people freak out after 2 years now, but it's like it used to take a quarterback 2-3 years, just like it would a tight end. Like now we're just seeing it quicker with a lot of guys, but it's not time to panic yet. We get 5 games in and the Colts aren't doing well and Anthony Richardson is going 6 of 25. Then it's time to hit the panic button.
Yeah. So, wrapping up this NFL segment, and I want to mention really quick, because it just came out top of my head, Keenan Allen, he signed with the Chargers earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Herbert gets another weapon. I kind of like that. You got Ladd McConkey. You got
Trey Harris.
Yeah, you got Trey Harris out of Washington State, I believe, right? Or was it
Trey Harris was out of you're thinking of Kyle Williams, but Trey Harris was out of not Auburn, but anyways, doesn't matter where he came from.
I gotta find it, but next episode I will have those details. And you still got Quentin Johnston. I don't think Quentin Johnson is a player that we're gonna have to talk about another episode, but
he's started to look really good.
Yeah, because I got a lot of positives on him, and I got some negatives on him. That's why I said another.
Got some brick hands on him, but apparently they're getting better.
Yeah, but jumping into or closing out really our segment, our MLB around the league. MLB it's been a lot going on. Red Sox are looking hot. They just beat the
boys.
They swept the Astros.
Yep.
Yeah,
they've won 7 straight now.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Red Sox look hot. I mean, we can go around the room really quick. Adam, just anything standing out going on in the league before we just jump into our power rankings?
I'll try to run through this real quick. So now we're trying to wrap it up in 10 minutes. Mariners took 3 out of 4 from the Rangers in a pivotal series. They were tied going into the series, so left the series up 2 games. So absolutely huge. Then they carried that over. Last night, the Mariners won 8-3 versus the Chicago White Sox, but the 3 doesn't really matter. It was 8-1 the entire game until they just put all of the backup pitchers in, and then the White Sox got a couple solo home runs in the 9th. But both Josh Naylor and Gino Suarez, the 2 new joiners on the Mariners, both hit 2-run home runs. The entire team looked electric. Brian Wu was amazing. 7 innings, only 2 hits allowed, 1 earned run, and 9 strikeouts. So now, after last night, the Mariners now have they had a one game lead on the Yankees. Then the Yankees won today, so I think it's a half game. But if the Mariners win again, it'll be a 1-game lead. Last I checked, the Astros were losing. So if the Astros lose and the Mariners win today, then the Mariners will only be 2 games back of the Astros. So they're sitting very, very pretty right now. Now they're in the second wild card spot instead of the first. The Yankees in an absolutely huge slide, but they were able to squeak out a 3-2 victory versus the Rangers today to avoid that sweep. We already mentioned the Red Sox, hottest team in baseball, won 7 straight. And just to touch on the Blue Jays Rocky series, I know the Rockies are the worst team in baseball, but they won 20-1 today. They won another game 15-1, and I don't even. I know
Rockies, man.
And
exactly. Like I know the third one was gross too, but they basically outscored them like 40-3, if not higher than that, in a 3-game series. And yeah, go ahead, dude.
I mean, I hate that it's just the Rockies, but at least they kind of got a little bit back on track. And the last 2 series, I kind of mentioned that they did look off. The hitting was off. I was kind of surprised that we lost last series to the Royals. But like Adam, you say, it's baseball. You never know what can happen. The series and teams can change week to week. But
the Royals are sneaky too.
Yeah, and I mean, like this whole division in the AL East is so like just looking at it now, the Red Sox are only 2 games back behind the Blue Jays, and I low-key think that the Red Sox will jump the Blue Jays for first eventually, because right now the Blue Jays, although they have really good hitters, it's just a lot of raised questions with some games, because some games they do look really mid. Not saying that they are a mid team, but just some games, coming out of the All-Star break, they just looked not hot. And I got to check to see if Alejandro Kirk is back in the lineup. I'm not really sure, because honestly, I'm back on the college campus, so I haven't been keeping up with baseball as much. But I when I get to it next week, I'll be sure to make sure and let y'all
I
know.
haven't heard about him coming back yet, but he could have snuck into a lineup. And
Yeah.
I haven't followed it. The Blue Jays, it's super duper close.
Yeah, but Ben, do you have anything you want to say about baseball before we jump into our power rankings?
I mean, man, it's really a pleasant surprise from my Red Sox here. Honestly, I did not really give them benefit of the doubt as the start of this All-Star, post All-Star, kind of sequence here because of the hard teams that we've been playing. But they win the series against the Dodgers. They win the series against the Twins, who I feel like always have the Red Sox number. No matter how good they are, the year that we play them. And then they go ahead and they sweep the Astros, like we said, and they're just on a roll, man. And today they also extended Roman Anthony to a huge contract. He's locked up
Ooh,
now.
I didn't hear
So
about that.
yeah, so it's a good time for Boston right now. And I will say, like, New York is also just a dumpster fire right now. And I will use those words because it honestly
Yeah.
is. I mean, you got
I
Jazz
checked on all of
Chisholm.
New York right now.
Yeah, I mean, even the Mets too. The Mets are looking kind of rough
Yep.
right now.
Yep.
Like it's something with New
Lost
York
4 straight.
sports in general. But I mean, for the Yankees, you still have Aaron Boone with his antics. You still have Jazz Chisholm just not playing like a baseball player, to be quite honest with you. And then you just have, the Yankees not adjusting anything. So they're just trotting out these guys until Aaron Judge comes back. And then I guess they'll just go from there once he gets back from injury. But yeah, and then with the Mets, their bats are just pretty quiet right now. I'm guessing it's not because I'm at City Field. I'm guessing it's because I'm not at City Field, but hopefully these bats wake up for the Mets. But they had Juan Soto break a no hitter today. He hit a home run, but at the same time they still lost to the Guardians, and I know Mets fans are hurting right now. So hopefully the Mets can get back on track. Hopefully the Yankees can get back on track to save the life of them. But yeah, MLB is we're getting closer to October. So these games are really going to start to matter. And especially in the AL East where it's super duper tight. We're talking about 3 games here, folks. So we'll just see.
Yeah,
I just
and
want to mention one thing real quick.
Yeah.
Because Rafael Devers got traded to the Giants. The Giants
that too.
are one of the worst records in baseball since that happened.
He was 0 for 20 the last time I saw. I think he like broke the kind of slump he was in, but he went like 0 for 21 at one point. I was like, Rafi.
I saw him hit a 3-run home run like recently in the last couple of days. So yeah, he came out of it a little bit. The Giants finally won a couple games, but I mean, I just wanted to ask you because you were such a big Rafael Devers fan and you were so worried about it. So
man,
yeah, I'm just glad that the Red Sox were able to round in the form for you.
Yeah, like I was very worried and obviously very hurt like the first time, he got traded. But then as stuff started to come out that, Ortiz had beef with him kind of, and, he just wasn't want to play these positions, yada, yada, yada. That's all news now. But for me, it was like, if Ortiz got beef with you, I got beef with you. So that kind of like made it all a little bit better. So.
Yeah, and all the young guys are getting to play now. So
yeah.
Do you want to go ahead on Power Rankings, Deuce?
Yeah, and I'll give it to y'all in 60 seconds or less. I got 1, Brewers, 2, the Dodgers, 3, the Phillies, 4, the Blue Jays. The only reason the Blue Jays are at 4 is because they had a slight slump. But that Rockies series, they did, although it's the Rockies, they did, like you said, Adam, they outscored them in a very fashionable way. 5, I give it to the Cubs.
Almost.
6, I give it to the Tigers. 7, the Red Sox. 8, the Astros. 9, the Mariners, which Mariners probably will jump up after next week. And then 10, the Padres. And 11 was the Mets. The Mets, like y'all said, the Mets have been looking looking rough, but.
All right. I can do this in 60 seconds or less as well because we have a lot of similarities. Brewers at 1. I'm giving Blue Jays benefit of the doubt. Best record in the American League. I actually had them in 3. If you didn't check out my power rankings that I released a couple days ago, check them out. But a few changes since then. I have Blue Jays moving from 3 to 2. Dodgers moving up to 3. I got Cubs moving down from 2 to 4. Tigers at 5. Phillies at 6. Just so steady. I don't think they'll ever fall out of the top 6 this entire year. 7 Red Sox. I'm with you. I moved them up. They passed the Astros and Mariners for right now. Hottest team in baseball. They deserve it. 7-game win streak. 7 spot makes sense. Astros at 8. Mariners at 9. Padres at 10. Mets falling all the way down from, I think I had them at 7 to 11 just because 4 straight losses and not exactly the best competition either. Yankees are at 12, just finally able to squeak out a win, but doing really bad. Rangers at 13, but you could almost put them in front of the Yankees after taking 2 out of 3. Then the Reds are surging a little bit at 14, and the Guardians, I have to give the Guardians a nod for doing really well against some top competition lately. Guardians move into the 15 spot.
So, as always, thank y'all for tuning in to Inside the Locker Room. Check out the Instagram, the YouTube, the TikTok, because more videos will be posted, and we may have videos from Adam and Benji posted on those as well. As always, stay safe, like, subscribe, and follow Inside the Locker Room. Stay safe.
Peace out, yo.